The financial life of someone with ADHD can be chaotic. We have an idea of how much we earn, but what about how much we spend? It's quite common to be surprised by the credit card bill or to make unnecessary impulse purchases. But there are tools that help me bring order to this chaos, and I teach all of them in the first link in the description. Why is it that doing some things that should be easy is so hard for us? Actually, it seems to be so difficult. There is an explanation for that. The educator Brandon Maham from the United States once explained at an international ADHD conference that there is indeed a reason why some easy tasks that you see people doing effortlessly seem like a whole different world for us. It's very hard to do, and he explained how this happens using a metaphor, which is when we are faced with a task that is relatively easy. World, it's really hard to do. And he explained how this happens using a metaphor, which is when we are faced with a task that is relatively easy. We're not just dealing with this task. We're dealing with the Great Wall that stands in front of this task. What would this Great Wall be? Great Wall of China? A wall that is very tall and very extensive. That's exactly it. And this wall is not a real wall like the Great Wall of China. It's an emotional wall, but just as big and hard to get through. Getting over it is just as difficult. Educator Brandon explained that this wall forms over the years. Every time you fail, feel rejected, get anxious or worry, each of those episodes is like a brick that you're adding to that wall. What happens is that over the years, this wall keeps getting bigger and it becomes increasingly difficult. You take action, you take the first step in what you have to do, but don't worry, there is a solution. Bendham himself said that there are 5 different ways to deal with the issue of the wall. And the good news is that out of the 5, only 2 actually work. What are the ways that don't work? How do you all deal with the issue of the wall? The first is to just stare at the wall. In other words, you look at the problem, at that difficulty of taking action, of sitting your butt down in the chair and starting to study, and you give up. You go to sleep and take your problems under the blanket with you. The second way is as if you wanted to ignore this wall, like you would circle around it to avoid it and just get the task done. You know you have ADHD. You can't ignore this wall that stops you from starting to do simple things. It's like the Great Wall of China, really. Okay, can you go around it? You can't. It stretches for thousands of kilometers. Either you cross it or there's no way around it. The third way that doesn't work is getting really angry about the situation and wanting to solve everything by force, no matter what. For example, you want to study, but there's a lot of noise at home. So you tell everyone to shut up and go to your room trying to study by any means, like out of sheer frustration, or even if other people aren't the problem. In quotes, you just get really mad at yourself and ask, man, why can't I just sit my butt down in the chair and study? Is there something wrong with me? It's not possible. If you yell at others, you're hurting the relationship. If you keep beating yourself up, you're also hurting your self-esteem. You may start to believe you are inadequate. And if you keep beating yourself up all the time, martyring yourself, you're also hurting your self-esteem. You're going to start internalizing it, believing that there's something wrong with you and that you can't do things like others can. Then you say, okay, Yuri, what do I do to really deal with this wall and get done what I need to do? The first step is to climb the wall. That seems pretty obvious, but it's not that obvious. I'm going to explain. In a few words, it means that you'll be doing the task more slowly at your own pace and in a way that works for you so you won't abandon the task. What happens is that emotionally, when we're faced with this imaginary wall, we're actually calculating the time it takes for us to sit down and do the task. The time it will take me to open the first page. What happens if I put off the task I should be doing until tomorrow? Today, because tomorrow is one less day for me to do that work with quality. Let's say all of this is a dialogue with ourselves. It's like an emotional job that we need to do. So, at that moment when you think about giving up on the task, you have to tell yourself like this, I can do this, I just have to start. In other words, that little procrastination you do before starting the task, as long as you actually go and do the task and don't just go to bed with it. In other words, you go to bed without resolving anything. You can see it as a kind of warm-up before the task, and then you stop facing it, wanting to martyr yourself, and start to understand that that little procrastination, even if it's just a little delay, wanting to do the task in the direction of the task is part of the process. It's a warm-up, especially because there are days when you feel a bit tired, and it's normal to want to relax a little, to put off starting until later. So don't martyr yourself as long as you don't abandon the task. And the second way that works is by asking for help in this process from people who are around you. Sometimes you sit down, try to do that important task on the computer. But you know that as a good ADHD person, there is a great risk of your attention being sucked into that black hole of YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything. And then you don't even notice when you stopped climbing the wall, which means doing it more slowly, when you're actually already procrastinating. At that moment, team up with someone who lives nearby to keep reminding you every hour or so. Or if someone is passing by and sees you fishing around on your phone, that person will call your attention like, hey, get back to the task. Man, anything that makes you stop procrastinating so you can keep climbing your wall. In other words, you will keep up the pace there. And the most important thing, which I think is the golden tip here, don't see your breaks as procrastination. Procrastinating is a verb, like it's static. It's like you've stopped frozen in front of the situation. No. Whenever you notice that you're about to procrastinate, you think like this, all right, I'm climbing that giant wall of mine, so now I'm going to close this YouTube I opened here. That has nothing to do with my task, and I'm going to write one more paragraph of that work. It has to be a frank conversation with yourself. It has to be something really intentional. This conversation, this chat with yourself, climbing is an action verb. Procrastinating is a static verb. See how your perspective on the whole thing has already changed a bit. Climbing can even be slower than walking. All right? But by climbing, you can overcome the wall and get to the task you had to do. It's an emotional job. Doing it the right way, you'll get there. And if you want to know more, understand various tools to help you, an adult with ADHD, succeed in your daily life, don't miss out on joining the ADHD in Action Club. The link is up here in the card, or here in the description as well. It's a course with various tools. Besides a Telegram community where I'm in that community, and we're going to have a chat so we can win together. All right, so I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, see you. Bye-bye. Post-it, app, to-do list, schedule. Have you tried everything, but it seems like nothing can organize your life, right? It's because the tool doesn't matter much if you don't know yourself or how to apply it in a way that works for you. I developed a method that helped me a lot, and now I'm much more productive. Check it out in the first link in the description.